Hey guys, what's going on? Sergeant McCord again, checking in with you. Tonight we're going to be talking about the process of joining the Air Force Reserve. I want to go over the process, the timeline of what that looks like, and really just talk to you about how the Air Force Reserve can be beneficial to you, whether you're looking to leave within the next 30 days or the next 12 months. So, a common question that I get when people encounter me, whether it be in the street or giving me a call, is, hey, I've always wanted to join, but I don't know what the process of joining the Air Force Reserve is. So the process itself starts off with a phone call. That initial phone call is the beginning of the recruiting process. During that initial phone call, we are going to talk about a lot, all right? The first thing that I want to cover is, as a recruiter for the Air Force Reserve, I want you to see me as more of a guidance counselor or a mentor to you. Okay, my goal is to get to know you. My goal is to understand what your goal and vision is for the next couple of years, or projecting out to about 5 years. I really want to see if the Air Force Reserve can be of benefit to you, and whether or not serving your 1 week in a month and 2 weeks a year is going to be beneficial to your situation, and whether or not we can help you achieve the goals you're looking to achieve by adding the Air Force Reserve into the plan. So now that we got that straight, during that first phone call, I'm going to ask you questions, like I said, to really understand why it is you're calling me. Why are you interested in the Air Force Reserve? It's probably the hardest question I ask everyone. Some people have never put thought into that, and that's okay. But we're going to ask those tough questions to really understand what your goals are, and help guide you and mentor you to make sure that the Air Force Reserve is the best option. What I can promise to you is this. Okay, this is my 5th year being a recruiter for the Air Force Reserve. I've helped 150 plus people join the Air Force Reserve, and I've been able to do so by being upfront, honest, and providing the proper guidance and mentorship. So over the last 4 years, I've definitely met with more than 150 people, and I've been able to mentor and guide the folks who haven't joined the Air Force Reserve, maybe to a different option that worked better for their situation. Whether it would be, if you're telling me that you're looking for full-time work to pay the bills, the Air Force Reserve may not be the best option. You may want to look into active duty, for example. So although the Air Force Reserve can help almost everybody who comes in, there are certain instances where somebody may be looking for a full-time option, or something that they're not aware that the Air Force Reserve does not offer. So long story short, the first step of that process is that phone call. Very important. We get to know one another. We understand and identify your goals. Then the next step of that phone call is to confirm that you are eligible for the Air Force Reserve. So we'll ask you a series of questions to pre-qualify you before we talk about the next step. So I'm going to ask you, are you a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident? Okay, the requirement to be eligible for the Air Force Reserve is that you have either U.S. citizenship, whether it be by birth or naturalization, or a permanent residency, having an INS 551, or otherwise known as a green card, that is valid for more than 24 months. Normally those cards are issued for a 10-year time period. If you have a permanent resident card, that's only good for a 2-year time period. Unfortunately, that specific situation would require that you renew your residency after the 2-year period, and would not be eligible to move forward in the process until you've completed the 2-year probationary period and have been granted permanent residency. The next question is whether or not you are a conscientious objector. Most people don't know what that word means, and that's okay, because I'm going to explain it to you. A conscientious objector is an individual who has a firm or fixed belief, or has received training, whether it be religious in nature, that you have a sincere objection towards participation in military service or participation in war efforts. As you can imagine, a conscientious objector is not qualified to join the Air Force Reserve. The next question is in regards to your legal background history. We're going to ask you questions and about any prior arrests, charges, if you've ever been held or questioned by a law enforcement agent. Again, we take every situation into consideration. Speeding and parking tickets will not get you disqualified unless, of course, you have an excess of them. But anything that had led to court charges, arrests, anything of that matter, we will have to look at that on a personal one-on-one basis to determine whether or not you would be qualified or if a waiver would be warranted for your situation. The next question that we look at is your age, right? So the qualifying age is 17 with parental consent from both parents, and up to 39. So the good thing about the 39 is you can join all the way up to your 40th birthday. Once you turn 40, you are no longer qualified. So you can join all during the 39th year up to and leading to your birthday. Once you turn 40, you are no longer eligible to serve in the Air Force Reserve. Now, there is one exception. If you've previously served in any branch of the military, we have what's called an adjusted age. So if you are, let's say, 45, but you served for 10 years, we will subtract 10 from your current age, and your adjusted age is now 35. As long as your adjusted age is less than 40, you are permitted to come back in. So, for example, if you were 43 years old and you served for 4 years, you are 39 years according to the adjusted age, subtracting 4 from 43, and you will be permitted to join. From there, we will look at your physical and medical background to make sure that you can meet both height and weight. Basically, we have a height and weight requirement. Based on your height, we will have a max and a minimum weight that you will be required to meet. We do not have a physical examination for you to complete prior to going to MEPS. You will not actually do a physical training test or a PT test actually until you get to basic military training. So as long as you can pass the height and weight, you meet the general eligibility requirement. Medical history, pretty much any surgery, any hospitalization, or any medical condition will be taken a look at. As a recruiter, I am not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. So we will have you fill out a medical pre-screen form when and if we meet during our interview. And any medical condition that is disclosed, we will get medical records for and have the military doctors take a look at that and determine eligibility from there. Other than that, we do look at marital status and any dependents, and then any prior drug use. So those are questions that we will ask you, and we will go through your qualification history thoroughly to make sure that you meet the eligibility requirements. So that is the long-winded explanation of that first phone call. It's definitely important because it leads to the next step. The next step of the process is referred to as an initial appointment. During the initial appointment, we will reiterate what we spoke about over the phone. We will identify any goals that you're looking to achieve. And it's my job to basically understand what you're looking to achieve and help you understand how the Air Force Reserve can help you obtain, whether it's an education, whether it's extra money. We have a plethora of different benefits and opportunities, all of which during that that interview, we're actually going to determine what of the plethora of opportunities that we have, how we could specifically help you to reach your goals. All right. There will become a point in that interview where we've discussed your interest, we understand, and we've confirmed that you're eligible. You're going to bring your documentation. So everything that we ask you over the phone, we're going to ask you to verify that when you come in. right? So we're going to have you bring a driver's license. We're going to have you bring your driver's license, birth certificate, high school diploma, and a social security card. All right, we're going to review those documents. We're going to reinforce that you are qualified. So once we get to that point where we understand that the Air Force Reserve is something you want to do, you're qualified, now we move on to the next step. We discuss scheduling MEPS. MEPS is a acronym for Military Entrance Processing Station. Basically, it's a fancy, long, drawn out acronym to say Qualification Center at the MEPS in Boston. That's where all of our folks take the ASVAB test, which is another acronym for Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. Again, fancy drawn out word for written test. And you will take a medical examination. So when I say I pre-qualify you, I ask questions, you bring in documentation, but it's really up to the MEPS facility to confirm your eligibility with an ASVAB and a medical exam. The doctors will review your medical pre-screen thoroughly, and of course you'll take the written test, and that'll determine the steps that come after MEPS. So really, that initial appointment, we schedule MEPS, we send you to the MEPS, and you will take your test and do your medical, right? Now, what comes after MEPS is the exciting part of the whole process, because that's when you're able to discuss with me, your recruiter, the jobs that you qualify for, and you're able to accept the job that day. It's pretty exciting. You're just coming back, you have an exam that you just took, you did well on it, you're medically qualified, you walk home with a piece of paper that says you are qualified to join the armed services. So it's definitely an exciting time. Pick a job with you, and that's exciting as well, because we're going through a couple of options based on what we discussed during that initial appointment, really taking into account what job is going to be the best fit for you. And of course, there's no secret, we're also looking at what is a good fit for the Air Force Reserve as well, right? So where we are different from our active duty counterparts is the Air Force Reserve sends our members to take a written test and a medical exam, but you will not take any oath, you will not do the oath ceremony, you will not join the Air Force Reserve the day you go to MEPS. You're simply going to go there, you're going to take your medical and your written test, you're going to come home to your recruiter, this guy, and you will discuss jobs, a security clearance will be started, and you'll pick your job. And now for the most exciting and most rewarding part for both you and for me, the last step is your enlistment. Basically, once you've completed the initial appointment, you've gone to MEPS and gotten qualified, you've picked a job, now you're enlisting. During the enlistment, you sign your contract. Now, again, signing your contract and taking an oath into the Air Force Reserve does not mean you're leaving that day, okay? And this is where what I was referring to earlier about fitting timelines. So when you take an oath with the Air Force Reserve, I'm going to say everybody joins into what we call a development and training flight, which is a new terminology for what we've called for years our delayed enlistment program, right? So you enlist, let's say on November 30th, you come in here, you complete your enlistment. You are not shipping to basic military training on November 30th. There will be a 3 to 4 month period where you will attend the development and training flight. You will learn how to be a member of the Air Force Reserve. We will teach you drill, which is another fancy term for marching. We'll work out and really get you ready for basic military training. But here's the plus side. Some folks want to leave as soon as they can, all right? Figure you're not leaving for probably 60 to 90 days at a minimum. Some people also come in and really want to do this, but they don't want to leave right away because they have a job or they want to finish their school semester, and that's fine. We do offer flexibility where you can leave as part of the delayed enlistment program or development and training flight up to 12 months after you complete your enlistment. So to be clear, you do have to take your oath and join the Air Force Reserve in order for us to be able to guarantee a job and any of the benefits, whether it be an incentive bonus or whatever comes with that job, the only way to lock in those benefits and the job itself is to commit to the Air Force Reserve through enlisting, signing your contract. But we don't like to call it a commitment. We like to call it an investment, because it's the beginning of your career, the beginning of your future. And we've already determined through a phone call and sitting down that this is an option that's going to, really add value to you as an individual and to your future and help you obtain the goals that you're trying to obtain. So again, I want to reiterate, if you enlist on November 30th of 2020, you do not technically need to leave until November 30th of 2021 to basic military training. So there's a lot of flexibility. You control the process, because once you pick a job on MEPS Day, you're also going to pick your dates for training. So I will show you a spreadsheet of available dates. You'll be able to pick what works best for your personal situation, as long as you can leave within the next 12 months after you complete your enlistment. So just to summarize, I know we went over a lot today. Basically, the process of the Air Force Reserve should not be seen as intimidating. That first phone call is really just to get to know one another, make sure that you're qualified and eligible, as well as that the Air Force Reserve is a good fit for you, right? Because if it's not a good fit, then the process ends there. No harm, no foul. There's no commitment by picking up the phone and calling me to discuss your interest to see if this is something that's going to work out. Okay? So step 1, call a recruiter. Step 2, meet the recruiter. Step 3, go to MEPS and get qualified. Step 4, come in and enlist. And step 5 down the road will be leaving within the next 12 months. So basically, like I said earlier, I want everyone to see me as a guidance counselor, as a mentor, somebody who is available to you to ask and answer questions, someone who is going to help you to obtain the goals, and someone that's going to guide you to meet those goals that you've set for yourself. If you are interested in finding out more information, you can definitely give me a call at any time. My phone number is 401-623-7271. Again, that's 401-623-7271. There's really so much that we could talk about. I'm going to continue sharing videos, continue sharing information that I find may be valuable to you to answer some of those questions that may be barring you from picking up that phone and calling me. So if you have any suggestions for topics that you'd like for me to cover, drop it in the comment section. I'd be more than happy to cover any topic that you'd like for me to answer. Today's topic was simple. The process, what the process looks like. There's definitely more. I didn't want to get in the weeds, but basically it's a 4-step process. Pick up the phone, talk to your recruiter, call the recruiter, and meet the recruiter, go to MEPS and take your ASVAB and your medical, and the last step being coming in to start your adventure with the Air Force Reserve. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my video. Hopefully, like I said, I'll be sharing more exciting information, and anything that you would like for me to cover, drop that in the comment section. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.